Governor Gavin Newsom has just announced he is lifting 95% of California's COVID-19 executive orders. We have live team coverage tonight, but we start with ABC 10's Morgan Reiner. Morgan covers all things politics, so you got to tell us, Morgan, what exactly does this mean?
Chris, when you hear that Governor Newsom is dropping 95% of his executive actions, it's jaw-dropping at first. But it's important to note it's the 5% that's staying in place that is still what affects everyone's day-to-day life. So what's staying? Well, there are so many provisions, 30 of them, so we don't have time to go through all of them. But the big thing is the state of emergency they announced today is remaining. So all current vaccine mandates, mask mandates for school children, workplace regulations, testing programs, etc. Now, financial assistance made available under the CARES Act, work hour limitations for retired employees who come back to work are still suspended to help with staffing shortages. Newsom's office said prior to today, only 15% of his actions remained in place. Now they're dropping it to 5%. So what is dropping? Some restrictions on the use of fairgrounds. You may remember fairgrounds were a popular destination for testing and vaccine sites. COVID money will no longer come out of the Disaster Response Emergency Operations account. Some data was allowed to be shared between the Department of Social Services and the California Department of Education to identify students who needed SNAP benefits. Now, Republican Assembly member Kevin Kiley, who I spoke to not too long ago, explained the changes that were made today as being inconsequential.
I think that he's trying to make it seem like he's giving up power, but that's not what he's doing at all. Other states have ended their states of emergency. They have long since gone back to normal. They've restored power to local communities and their citizens, and California needs to do the same.
The big news on the next phase of the pandemic that we're expecting is coming on Monday, the 28th, where we're expecting to get an update on the school masking requirement. And then the Senate is expected to debate on March 15th the merits of being under a state of emergency.
There is the breaking news for us tonight. Our Morgan starting us off with that developing news. Let's get you now out to ABC 10's Luke Clary, who is live, I understand, in South Sacramento. So what are people saying there, Luke?
Chris, yeah, I'm here at SF Supermarket. This is a big Asian grocery store in South Sacramento, and I got to tell you, about 95% or so of the customers we see walking in here are still wearing masks in spite of new CDC guidance that I know that you'll be bringing up later in the show. And most people that we've talked to aren't even aware of today's governor's action. In fact, most people say that they're going to continue taking precautions just as they were before.
Habit for one, and I feel kind of like naked walking into a store without it. But also I know Omicron spreads like so much more easily, and I haven't gotten it yet.
And so I feel like it's still very important, like we follow these measures. But I mean, everyone has their own rights, so whatever you want to do is good for your health.
And I still kind of do it not just for my own sake of feeling comfortable, but I know other people also feel more comfortable when they have masks on, and it doesn't really bother me too much.
And of course, Chris, the mask has really kind of become a symbol of this pandemic and the restrictions that come along with it. We still see a sign here that says no mask, no service. But speaking with management here, they say that's not actually the policy. You're welcome to come inside and shop without a mask if you feel comfortable doing so. You're welcome to come in and wear a mask as well. And again, about 95% or more, I'd say, of customers who are coming to this shopping center anyway have decided to mask up in line with policies we've seen around the state and the country. Chris?
Our Luke Clary reporting for us live in South Sacramento. Let's go out to Giacomo Luca in Roseville tonight. And Giacomo, Placer County has been fighting some of the COVID-19 guidelines. So what are people saying there tonight?
Well, Chris, contrast that to where Luke just was in South Sacramento. The Placer County area and here in Roseville, folks have taken a far less concerned approach to the pandemic than a lot of folks in the big cities have. Now, for example, here people have been far more resistant to things like vaccine mandates and masking mandates. Businesses here early in the pandemic and recently even Roseville schools decided to stop enforcing mask mandates, with many families here saying they want to make decisions for themselves. But not everyone agrees that now is the time.
Well, sooner or later, it's going to start spreading again, and then we're going to have to start putting masks on.
Do you think that it's too soon?
Yeah.
It's like if we just be careful and do our part, and as you can see, like some politicians are not following their own mandates.
Now, Marianne right there alluding to images of Governor Newsom and other politicians that were caught not masking in violation of some of the rules that those elected officials wrote themselves. Meanwhile, for folks here, many of them tell me the actions by the governor today simply was not enough. They say the coronavirus state of emergency needs to be ended. Back to you.
Keep in mind, we are expecting more announcements from the governor as early as next week when it comes to things like masking in school.